So seeing as how I'm a floating head, I think it's only fitting we talk about ghosts today. Hey everyone, welcome to Star Stories. This week's subject will be the paranormal. I'll tell you about the few ghost experiences I've had in my life, and I'll be honest, I wrote this, I don't even remember when I wrote this episode. It was when Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho talked about ghosts on the Talk is Jericho, Chris Jericho's podcast. I've always been interested in the paranormal ever since I was really little. Or not really little, but I'd say like 12 or 13 is when I started really getting into paranormal and started looking up things, because that's when I had my own I got my own laptop, so I could look up what I wanted to look up at the time. I didn't have to worry about like my mom thinking I was weird because I was looking up like hauntings in Rochelle or hauntings in Rockford, where I live. And I was always watching ghost hunting shows, and I can remember purposely staying home from school to watch a haunting. Now, I don't know if they still play that show. I haven't checked. I don't watch much TV, so I wouldn't know. But I remember purposely staying home from school to watch a haunting marathon. So, sorry, Mom, if you ever watch this video. Just because I love the stories, and they actually ended up making a movie about the Connecticut episode. If you've ever seen A Haunting in Connecticut, phenomenal movie. And after I started getting into ghosts, I did actually go ghost hunting a few times with my cousin Kelsey and our friend Haley. And those were some of the best times of my life, to be honest, because I was happy. Not that I'm not happy now, but I was happy, being with them, hanging out, doing what we loved. We loved the paranormal. Something that one of us that we all kind of shared a common bond, among other things. There's an old abandoned cemetery that we used to go to. Like, we would go there at like 1 a.m. and go ghost hunt, just because, I don't know really why we went that late, but I would always stay the night over at Kelsey's, my cousin's, and we would just go ghost hunting in her basement and then at this abandoned cemetery. The abandoned cemetery is actually not where I seen my first ghost, but I have seen a ghost there. But, let's get into some of my personal experiences that I've had. I'm just going to read these off the paper that I have, just because it'll be easier and it'll be easier to understand, I think. The first experience I had was when I was 8 to 10 years old. I don't really remember, but it was when my mom and I lived with my grandma in a 2-story house, and I can remember walking down the stairs around 8 at night, and I felt like somebody was walking behind and then next to me, because the staircase was pretty wide. Two people could easily walk up there, together. And I could remember like feeling somebody either behind or next to me when I was walking. It happened a few times while I lived there. And my cousin Austin, he's told me that he's felt the same thing when we lived there. So that's kind of scary. And I remember my grandma had like these dolls that were like, there was like a flight of stairs, a little landing that you walked around, and then there was another flight of stairs. And my grandma had like all these creepy dolls, and I would always be scared to go get something to drink in the middle of the night. Just because I was like, these dolls are watching me and their eyes are moving and it's creepy. The next big experience I had was about 3 weeks after we moved into this house. And I remember it like it was yesterday, to be honest. And, it's vivid to me. I was laying in bed, and actually I was laying probably around this area when my bed was this way. I had a little bit longer of a bed, and it was probably in this area, maybe a little further to that way. Your left, right? I don't know. I was just laying here watching television, and I think I had turned my TV off and to try to get some actual sleep, because it was like 2 in the morning. And I looked out my door, and I seen a woman in a blue dress, and she had like a blue hue around her, and she had really long black hair, and I knew that it wasn't my mom, because my mom had short blonde hair and she didn't have a blue dress. And I said, like I said, long black hair, and she walked like past my door, and she stopped, and she looked at me and like nodded like that. And I don't know what that meant, but I will admit, after it happened, I felt at peace with living here, because I've never felt, when we moved in here, I kind of felt weird about it, and I figured, I guess it's like a sixth sense type of deal, or psychic but I felt like there was like ghosts in this house. I still feel it to this day. I'll be honest, I'm kind of got chills right now, like talking about this. You know, but like I said, it made me feel at peace, and I don't know who the lady was, but you know, maybe like a former owner of the house or the land. I've tried to look up several times, you know, the history of this house, like the history of this land, and I can't seem to find anything, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because, you know, it might be scary what I find. The next experience was also in my room, and it was with my cousin Kelsey and my friend Haley. And we were all, like I said earlier, we were all really fascinated by the paranormal and decided it was a good idea to make a Ouija board. Not a good idea, ladies and gentlemen. So we got some paper and we made one because we didn't have the money to actually go buy the Milton Bradley or whoever makes it Ouija board. And so we got some paper and we made one ourselves. I don't remember what kind of questions we asked, but I do remember we got answers. And they were like yes or no answers. They weren't like spelled out. Like we asked for names and we didn't get anything, which was kind of sucked. But we would ask like if it was a good spirit or a bad spirit, and we would get answers to that. And I remember we asked if it was a good or bad spirit. Now, you can't really see the layout of my room, but where I typically do my vlogs, like where I sit to do my vlogs, that's where we were doing this. And we asked if it was a good or a bad spirit. We didn't get an answer. And suddenly, from my closet, if you know where my drums are at, by my closet door, suddenly a fog machine shot off from my closet. Now, there's no electricity in the closet. There's an air vent, and that's it. There's no outlet to plug a fog machine in, and it just shot out. And it wasn't like a little like after spurt, because we hadn't had it plugged in. It hadn't been on all day. It hadn't been on in the last few days from that time, and it just shot out. And it was pretty freaking scary. And that was my second experience, or third experience. Second at this house, I should say. And like I said, that was like one of the scariest moments. Or not scariest, it wasn't scary. But I remember Kelsey and Haley like screaming and freaking out. And I was just kind of like, there's a ghost in my closet, probably. Now, the last story is probably my favorite experience that I've had. Back when my brother and I were in high school, my mom would go visit her boyfriend in Wisconsin, and she would leave me and my brother money to go eat dinner wherever we wanted. We could go to McDonald's, we could go to DeKalb, to a nicer restaurant. We could go to Rockford, which are like 20, 30, 40 minutes away from where I live. They're just nicer places to eat there, because all we have where I live is like a McDonald's and a Subway. And this particular night, my brother and I decided to take a different route home. And this route took us over a set of train tracks by an abandoned house. As I'm saying that, there's a train going by. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It took us over these train tracks by an abandoned house. And we didn't have the music turned up for some reason, which was weird for my brother and I, because we always liked to like jam out, or not jam out, but just like listen to music and talk about the music. And when we went over the tracks, we both got really, really quiet. And which is, again, weird, because my brother and I always talk about stupid stuff. And then it got even creepier. We both went like this. We looked into the backseat of the truck. And I said to him, "Did you feel like someone was back there?" And before I could really even finish the sentence, he said, "Yeah." And I had a feeling like an older man was sitting in the back seat who had maybe been murdered, because I just like got this like sense, again going back to how I feel like I might be a little bit psychic, which I think we're all psychic in a way, to our own ability. And like this man was like murdered or something on the tracks or at that house. I don't really know. My brother and I were stars and we're adventurous, and we decided we needed to feel this experience again. We needed to feel this, whatever we just felt, again. And we decided to try to have another experience. So we agreed to both keep really, really quiet and drive by the local funeral home. And we drove by it, and we both kind of, we talked. We're like, I asked him what he felt. He's like a child passing away. And I said, me too. When I got home, I did a little bit of research and I found out that the owners of the funeral home actually did unfortunately lose a child at the funeral home. So it's really crazy to think that like we both had the same feeling for twice in a row and within like 15 minutes of each other. But yeah, so those are some of my ghost stories. If you guys have had any ghost experiences, leave them down in the comments below. I want to know about them. Make a video response if that's easier for you. I know that's a lot easier for me. I like to watch rather than read. So if you leave a video response or a comment, I will be sure to watch or read that comment or video. And that's it for this week's of Star Stories. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, go back and watch my vlogs, other episodes of Star Stories, and Top 5 Friday. And thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.